Today, Kanawha County and our emergency response partners responded to a chemical release at Catalyst Refiners in Institute, West Virginia. Our first priority has been and remains the protection of life, safety, and public health. Catalyst Refiners is owned by Ames Goldsmith Corporation. Ames is putting out a release. We have a copy of that and can provide it after this press conference. This remains an active incident. Information is still being developed, and there will be national, state, and local investigations about this chemical release. We anticipate that OSHA, DEP, and the National Chemical Safety Board will all conduct investigations. For that reason, we're only providing some information that we've been able to confirm. There will be very detailed investigations by these other state and federal agencies as well. Here's what we know. At approximately 9:31 a.m., a ChemFix incident was reported at Catalyst Refiners in Institute. That site was used to manufacture silver catalyst. A shelter in place was put into effect for a 1-mile radius of the site. Preliminary information indicates the site was in the process of shutting down its operations, and cleaning and decontamination activities were underway in preparation for the closure of that site. At this time, it is believed that a chemical reaction occurred during that cleaning process that created hydrogen sulfide. At approximately 9:33 a.m., Metro 911 received a call from Catalyst Refiners reporting the release. Emergency management, hazmat teams, and first responders were immediately notified. At 9:46 a.m., the Emergency Operations Center was activated here at Metro. At approximately 9:53 a.m., first responders were on scene, and that's when the 1-mile shelter in place was announced. At approximately 9:55 a.m., the Western Zone Emergency Siren Network was activated to notify nearby residents and businesses. At 10:07 a.m., a wireless emergency alert was issued for the Jefferson, St. Albans, Nitro Institute, and Dunbar fire response areas. A wireless emergency alert is the emergency message sent directly to cell phones. Some of you may have received that if you were in the affected area at that time. The Kanawha County Alert app activation was also sent, a notification from that app. In addition to the shelter in place and other emergency notifications, additional protective actions were taken. Route 25 in front of the plant was shut down. Route 60, McCorkle Avenue, was shut down initially as a precaution, but later opened. As a precaution, Kanawha County Schools voluntarily initiated a shelter in place at Dunbar Primary, Dunbar Intermediate, St. Albans High School, and Nitro High School, in addition to Nitro Elementary. These schools were not within the official shelter in place zone, but the action was taken out of an abundance of caution. At 10:29 a.m., it was confirmed that the shelter in place was no longer needed west of the site near St. Albans, so that was lifted. There does remain a shelter in place currently between the site of where the incident happened up to and including West Virginia State University. 21 individuals from the site have been transported or have sought medical treatment or evaluation. I am sad to report that 2 individuals have passed away as a result of the incident. 5 of the 21 individuals were Kanawha County Emergency Ambulance employees who were evaluated at hospital for potential exposure as a precaution. We are not going to release the names of the individuals who passed or any of the individuals that have sought treatment. It is our understanding that the company has notified the families of the 2 individuals who passed away and 1 individual who is in critical condition at a local hospital. Hazmat teams are still assessing the scene. Air monitoring is being conducted around the facility. Teams are preparing to make entry into the facility as soon as it is safe to do so. First responders have notified the National Response Center so that appropriate federal agencies can be alerted. At this time, the shelter in place remains. We do not have a time frame on when that shelter in place will be lifted. C.W. Sigmund will chat here in a minute, and he can give you more information about the chemicals, the response, those types of things. This remains, as I mentioned in the beginning, an active and developing situation. It is important that the public rely on information from official government sources and information that the media relays from official government sources. There's a lot of misinformation out there. We want to caution everyone about relying upon that false information. You can monitor, in addition to the news agencies, you can monitor it, the developing situation on our county Facebook page. We will announce there probably when we do lift that shelter in place. It'll be published there first, so people can monitor that. In addition to the Metro 911 Facebook page and our emergency management Facebook pages. That's where the information will go first about the current shelter in place when it is released. We will have additional facts, obviously, as this situation continues to develop, and we will provide that information through official channels. We continue to keep those affected by this in our thoughts and prayers, including the individuals that passed away, and all of those employees and contractors, subcontractors who were at the site today, in addition to our first responders who put their own lives in jeopardy to respond to this scene, including administering life-saving aid to some. I want to turn it over to our Director of Emergency Management, C.W. Sigmund. C.W. was actually on site today. Quite frankly, almost as soon as it happened, he showed up. He can give you more information about what happened inside the plant.
First of all, after this news conference started, we got information there was 7 total EMS workers transported. We found that out after the press conference started. I don't know where to start. It's just they were in decommissioning the facility. What's called M2000A and nitric acid were mixed in a pump area. They're decommissioning the tank. That's when the explosion occurred and the leak. Other employees drug out the affected workers using respirators. Many of them had respirators. As you know, when I got there, firefighters and EMS personnel were doing CPR on 2 of the patients, trying to revive them. I got to say, first, my sympathies to the families and the workers, heartfelt sympathies. But on the other side of me says I'm very proud of the responders. I get choked up talking about it. As always, they work together. We do it every day, but today they stood up to the plate and did it even better. Nitro and Institute got there just double quick. Nitro Fire and Institute Fire got there double quick. Charleston Fire, South Charleston Fire, St. Albans. Other fire departments showed up to help that were requested. Had the hazmat teams from Charleston and South Charleston Fire. Sheriff's Office, Nitro PD, all were great. Done a good job. DEP was there, as several of us in emergency management, and the fire marshal's office sent help. So very proud of the response, and I'm very proud of the working relationship everybody had. It went seamless as far as their response is concerned. There was no issues, and they tried to do everything the right way. I'll say this about the EMS workers. They put themselves in harm's way trying to save a life. I hate that they got contaminated, but they were trying to save a life. So I applaud them for that effort. So I'll be glad to answer any questions, best of my ability. Well, my understanding, yes, I should say a violent release, a reaction of the chemicals, a violent reaction of the chemicals, and instantaneously overcame them. Well, sir, it's a violent reaction. When the materials got together, they reacted violently and exposed the workers.
What were those chemicals again?
The chemicals was nitric acid and what's called M2000A.
This is kind of like gas.
Yeah, it's off gases, yes. Yeah, it's stuff, if it's laying there in a tank, it will be off gassing very rapidly. No, just a tank. It was an open vessel, and it reacted and released almost instantaneously. There's some residual. We could smell it downwind of it a little ways. You could also, air monitoring, they could detect it with air monitors. The shelter in place, the fire chief at the Institute called the shelter in place. He called it exactly right. He's put 1 mile radius. Metro blew the sirens from the western part of the county, put in the narrative where to shelter in place. As Commissioner said, once the wind blowing real hard and air monitoring to the west side of the plant, we can lift the shelter in place in the St. Albans area and toward Nitro. They've kept it in place around West Virginia State University and New Golf Fountain Road area because I got right here, Golf Mountain West to, yeah.
Closed, but they're releasing the other shelter in place.
Yeah, thank you, ma'am. Released other shelter in place, just got that one little area still in shelter in place because of the unknowns. You know, the fire department's still assessing how much is in the tank, what's the chances of it having another issue. We don't want to release it and somebody be exposed. So, but the interstate's open, McCorkle Avenue is open on the other side of the river. Just that one small little area is there, and part of the reason is the fire department's out there with their decontamination unit also. But we want to keep it closed. West Virginia State University Police is monitoring the campus. The Altivia plant next door sent a representative over to make sure their employees were safe and to monitor the situation and assist where possible.
That were in the zones that were how do you guys know that that area is safe?
Well, for example, St. Albans, even though the wind was blowing from St. Albans to us, the St. Albans Fire Department checked the area for us, as did in the Nitro area. They were able, St. Albans Fire Chief was there assisting, and he had his crews go out and check the area and make sure it was okay. And we didn't do any releasing of the shelter-in-place areas. The fire chief didn't until he confirmed it was safe to do so.
With regard to the victims, were these individuals that were local full-time employees, or were they contractors from out of state that were in there just doing this?
I do know there are some local people there. I'm not sure where they're all from and who they all work for. I don't know if it was contractors that were affected or full-time plant employees. That I do not know.
And you said it was actually employees that pulled the victims out.
Yeah, people outside were employees who put on respirators and pulled them outside.
So no firefighters went in?
To my knowledge, no. My knowledge is the employees brought them outside.
I just wanted to make clear. Folks that were working at that facility.
That's correct.
Nobody else has been injured that was outside the initial.
No, there should be nobody injured outside. Again, we monitor the air around the facility. No detection, no smells. You had to get really close to the facility to smell it. You want to, but there's doors are open, the windows are open. It still could be off gassing. It still could be reacting. Luckily, we had a chemical expert who comes to the Emergency Operations Center, who is the administrator of the Kanawha Putnam Emergency Planning Committee. He came out here. He's been my go-to guy for 40 years when I need help on a chemical incident. What do I do with this? He's the person that tells me, gives me good advice. And we went by his advice a lot. I'm assuming most of them that we were talking about went to the hospital. It's a very small facility, and most of them are working inside either the production area or the warehouse. So I would say pretty much all of them. They're not a very big employer as far as they don't have a large number of employees on duty at a time.
Several of the employees refused treatment.
Yeah.
They didn't want treated. I think there's a statement also from the company.
That's correct, sir. Yes, sir. Some of them I'm good. I was away from it. I was in my office. I wasn't exposed. I'm not being decontaminated. I'm not going to the hospital, and we can't make them go. That's be a question you have to ask them what their standard procedures are. My understanding, talking to the plant manager, it was not uncommon. It was what they do. but there was something going on that was different. But that will be for the investigators to determine. I do not know that.
This is still a chemical reaction that's happening as
That's what we're trying to find out.
Okay.
We don't want to release the shelter in place and something's still going on and affect somebody. I would rather keep the shelter in place there. The fire chief's idea was if we release the shelter in place and then it starts reacting again, then we have to do it all over again, and we may have to take a chance of getting somebody else exposed. Those citizens have been exposed to my knowledge. If they do have a problem, they need to seek medical help, either get EMS there or go to the hospital and get medical help. But so far, there should not be any exposures. We have not determined of any material off-site of any consequence. But this is an abundance of caution. We don't want you driving by the plant and all of a sudden something happens and you're caught in a cloud of some kind. We don't want that to happen.
And this is how fluid of a situation. CW doesn't even know that they've announced that the shelter in place is lifted for West Virginia State University, but Route 25 is still closed in front of the plant, so emergency vehicles can get by. So that's how fluid it is. You're right.
And that's good news.
Right.
That's
right.
good news. And I applaud West Virginia
working.
State University and the campus police making sure the students are safe. And the fire chief was very attuned to the State University, but his words are that they're my responsibility. I want to make sure they're taken care of. So I got to applaud that also.
That's right.
And just around the plant, just around that area right where they're working. My understanding. She got newer information than I have.
Every shelter in place is lifted.
Yeah. So Route 25 will still be closed where they're working, but it's good news. It tells me that it's getting better.
This is for one of our viewers at home. Is this impacting water at all? That's what someone's wondering.
No. The water plants that we get water around here and in the St. Albans will not be affected. This stuff is a gas. It did not get into the water. There's no water. Even if it did get into water, there's no water treatment plants till you get to Huntington from that location. So it will not affect drinking water or anything like that.
So the building where it occurred,
It's hard for me to describe how big it is. It's not a huge building, not like the Ordnance Center in South Charleston. We got these huge buildings. It's a warehouse-sized building, not as big as some of the big box stores even. But there's a warehouse attached to the production area, and the offices are in the same building. And it sits right outside of the Altivia plant there. It's on their property. They're tenants, but they're not inside the fence line of the Altivia plant.
okay, but it was in the warehouse.
In the warehouse area, to my understanding. I've not went inside myself to see that, but my understanding is in the warehouse area.
Again, you said this was the tank, not the plant being decommissioned.
I'm not sure if it's plant or the tank being decommissioned. All I know is they was in the process of decommissioning. I don't know if it's the plant or the tank, but that I don't know.
There may be a number on the company's press release that you can call to find out more information about that.
Honestly, like the commissioner said, our concern is people. The whys and the business model of it, not really our focus. But we know that they were working on a tank to take that tank out, whether the whole plant's going out or not, or just that tank. Our concern is the most two dangerous times of a chemical plant's life is start up and shut down. Well, here we are in shutdown, and that's the most dangerous time of its life. It's like landing a plane. Takeoff and landing is the most dangerous times. Starting out and ending a chemical process are the most dangerous times.
Press release, is that going to be sent online, or is it just?
We have it on paper. We're going to bring it in here in just a second. I think they're printing it right now.
Okay.
We received it right at 2 p.m.
Okay. And then one more question too for the cleaning process. Do you know, is that like a daily routine that they do every day, or one thing, or?
That I don't know. I'll say this: the fire department, like the Institute Fire Department and Nitro Fire Department and Kanawha County Ambulance, had just recently, in the last few months, visited the plant and took a tour of the plant, so made us a little bit more familiar with it and knew where everything was in the plant. And they gave us a guided tour and met with us about emergency response, and having that knowledge of the people, like the plant manager, I know him, and be able to talk to them, and that helped a lot. Yeah, it was back before the extreme cold weather, probably for the first year. I have to look at my calendar and see what it was. Everything gets kind of a blur, as far as timing and stuff.
I just want to clarify, are there any homes in that area where it's still active right now?
No, there's no homes close by. Now, there's homes in the west side, but it's several miles away, and it's up. You have to go into the wind. It's upwind to it, so there should not be any homes affected.
How did they know that they were affected?
No, there's no gas. I was right behind them, not too far behind them. There's no cloud there. It was probably on their clothing, and it's off gassing. If you get something like that on you, like chlorine, you're going to smell it on your clothing for a while, but it's eventually going to off gas. And it was probably off gassing off of them. A lot of stuff, they think there's a big cloud, you always see what it is. They probably didn't see that. They just saw folks there in cardiac arrest and needed their assistance. No obvious, again, off gassing. Personally, I've been exposed to it, sent to the hospital over working on a patient, off gassing a material.
Is there 21 additional people from the
21 total.
more about the, you talked about how
You
important-
said one more a while ago.
I know. Keep coming to me, I'm sorry. When you talk about just how important it was to get the shelter in place issue for everyone, these experiences, I mean, how important is that to, I guess, what does that do for people when there is all these unknowns?
Yeah, we give alerts for chemical responses that we respond to. As far as day-to-day Department of Environmental protections as far as normal day-to-day operations, that's not our thing. But releases, accidental releases or whatever, is ours. They're not as common as you think. People think in the valley here we have a lot of incidents. We do not. If it's important to get that message out, we don't want somebody standing out in the yard and get exposed to something that we could have prevented, that we didn't give them a warning about. So again, I thought the warnings went out well. When I pulled into the site, I could hear the sirens blowing, and my phone was alerting to the wireless emergency alert and to our app. Both of them were sounding on my phone. In fact, it took me a couple of moments to clear that where I could talk on the phone. But the sirens were activated before I got on site.
Familiar with that, this is still.
Well, I hate to say this, but I've been in the fire department since '72, and actually since '71. It wasn't as common even then as it is now. It was talked about a lot. It was probably a little more common. We had a lot more industry back then, but even then it was not an everyday event. You talk to somebody from Texas, they thought we had a chemical event every day, but we did not. But we did a lot of work over the time frame, and one of my associates for a long time, the director on the state level, Matt Blackwood, we did a lot of work over many, many years over shelter in place and public warning and things of that nature. So again, it worked very well, and the responders did very well. Metro did very well. All the alerts went out pretty quick. Matter of fact, I was in a meeting in his office when, along with the Charleston emergency manager and Putnam's emergency manager, when the alert came in. So they got to see me leave quick.
Speaking of alerts too, and Commissioner Tennant also mentioned this, but we all got a public safety alert. The shelter in place for all areas around the Refiners Facility and Institute has been lifted. I would assume that's including also the.
Well, you can't get there now because there's roadblock, and there's police officers there to keep you out of that area. But as far as you staying in your home and closing your doors and windows, that's been lifted. But there's police officers there with the road closed as a precaution. In fact, they had the roads closed before I got there, and I got there pretty quick. And the sheriff's office and Nitro Police had the road closed pretty quick. That'd be a company answer. I don't know. They would use whatever the standard PPE was for that job, not before this event happened. But if it was standard operations, whatever was required for that operation, I'm sure they were wearing it. But I don't know what they were. what they were wearing. I know that plant workers grabbed PPE, like what's called a face respirator, not fresh air like a firefighter wear, but like a filter type respirator of some kind, and went in and grabbed them the best they could. Some of them probably did not use it, but some of them did. But what extent they had them on, I don't know. They were not wearing hazmat suits when we got there. They were in standard workwear.
I think some of them had also been hosed down.
Yes.
So we don't know what they had on at the time of the actual incident.
That's true. And they had a hose line off of Nitro's fire engine hosing people down when I got there. So I'm not sure exactly, but again, no obvious equipment, but like the commissioner said, they were getting hosed off. They might have been taking things off. When we hose somebody and decontaminate them, it's an embarrassing event because you have to take clothes off. You know, we can't hose you down and clean the stuff off because you might have stuff on you still. So some of the folks were probably embarrassed. I carry gowns, so some of them, we put them in gowns after we started cleaning them off because they were cold. It's the catalyst refiners. What they do is they get silver out of some of the work at the Tibia site. Some of there's different plants that work in there. They recover silver from that and be able to use again. It's used in that process. They even have to take if they vacuum their carpets in their office, they recover so many thousands of dollars worth of silver out of it, just vacuuming their carpet. It's a silver recovery business to make the stuff that goes in to use in a chemical process in another facility there on site.
There is a contact information on the press release from Goldsmith if there are any questions.
Yeah, and that,
I'm going to put that on the table, and then we have some information in the form of a release. Have that. I would imagine we'll be putting ours out on social media too.
I understand it's been under decommissioning, like had other alerts been from this plant, or is it the first time?
No, this is not the first time we've been there. We've been there on other alerts. It's not an everyday event, but we have been there. We've been there on spills before. Not as bad as, it's not a spill, but we've been on some spills inside the facility where the nitric acid has spilled.
That recently? Or
It's been a few years ago, not decades ago, but a few years ago. That's
21 total. That would include the 2 individuals who passed away, and the EMS workers who went to the hospital for just a checkup, and then also some of the other coworkers that went to the hospital. One was in critical condition. Some just went for evaluation.
You started the press conference by saying 21 of the EMS workers, Commissioner Tennant.
I don't know if it makes it 23 or not.
It's pretty fluid, isn't it?
Yeah. You know, when we put out our information earlier today, there was only 7 that had been transported. Now we know that it's at least 21, but I can't confirm whether it's a total of 23.
I know the ambulance, the paramedic personnel trying to keep up with it, getting decon, getting them in the ambulance, getting them to the hospital. So sometimes those numbers might get skewed a little bit. Their priority is get them in the ambulance and get them out of there, you know, to get them decontaminated, get them to the hospital. And because they're going to be decontaminated again when they get to the hospital before they get treatment. Because whatever's causing their issues, we got to get it off of them.
And we don't know whether any went by private car, you know, they could have, co-workers could have driven them. We don't know any of that information.
Thank you. And KRT did, at our request, send a bus down. We had walking wounded who were just going for observation and being decontaminated. So KRT did send a bus down. They're a good, strong partner with us. So they showed up and transported some patients that really the ambulance have had to do bus work. Let the bus take care of it. No.
Is it possible that there could be more impacts like that?
Could be. Somebody, you know, this being a plant in a localized area, we have a pretty good handle on it, but there could be others that showed up in their own personal cars. And a lot of events over in town, Most people just, Oklahoma City bombing, places like that. Most people went by car, even public works, garbage trucks and things for picking people up and taking them to the hospital. We like to send them by ambulance. That way we can send them to the hospital. It's not too busy. You know, the med base will say, well, this general is very busy. Let's send some over here, or this patient needs the care in this facility. But we can't control what goes by car.
Here's the information I mentioned. We'll put this here on the table if anybody wants it. We'll continue to provide information as it becomes available to us, including the number that have been transported, if that changes at all. If we ever get a number on any that were transported by private vehicle, we'll give that information as well. Thank you.